Welcome back. So, in our Selenium with Java series, today we are going to see about a testng annotation attribute feature that is called as groups. So, in our previous session, we have seen the testng priority. Now we will see the groups. Now, what is exactly groups mean into the testng test? So, it's a list of groups that this method or class belongs to. So, it means that there are, if you have like number of test cases are there, let's say that if you have 100 to 200 test cases are there, and you want to filter it out and run specific test cases out of your 200 test cases, then there is no other option. The only option left is you can specify all the at the rate test and test methods into your testNGxml and then run it. Now let's say that tomorrow there is other set of test cases you need to run it. Now you have to wipe it out, all the content of the testng.xml, replace with the new content or the new testng test methods, and then run it, right? Which is like difficult. I'll give you one real time scenario. Think about Facebook. So you are automating Facebook, which might have some set of test cases related to login functionality, some are related to your profile, some are related to your account where you can change the theme, or you can even change the email address or the username. Or there is another set of test cases which is related to your feed, where you can post different what you call statuses or uploading the images and all those things. Now these are the 4 to 5 different functionalities in your Facebook, right? And each functionality will have set of test cases. Now let's say that your organization need to just run the login related test cases because login functionality got changed recently, and you have to run the test cases to make sure if it is working fine or not. Now you don't have any option, rather just gather all the at the rate test methods related to login and then place it into the testng.xml and execute it. Now tomorrow your lead or manager says that we need to execute the profile related. Now you have to comment all the login related test case entries into testng.xml, and then you have to re-add the testng test methods related to the profile. Now which is difficult and cumbersome, right? So that's why testng provides a way to group your test cases. So while you are writing the test cases, you can group these test cases based on like whether it is specific to profile or login or your account related. Sometimes we go into the agile where we call it as regression, release we call it as a sanity. So like these groupings we give each and every test cases, and then whenever we need we can just mention that okay, I want only sanity related test cases, or I want the test cases related to login functionality only. Now testng will pick up those specific test cases out of your 200 test cases and run only those specific test cases. It is really handy when your organization is having, or your project is having lot of different test cases. Okay, so let's first see about how we can implement this into the coding, and then we will see what are different available methods or ways to run those test cases. Okay, whether it is manually or we need to use some kind of plugins, or is it like what other setups we need to do. Okay, so for this let me go back to the IntelliJ, and here the we have seen this one, right? Like attributes, that is the grouping. Let me see, where did we keep that one? So as you can see, we have kept all this priority related, right? So this time I'll just right click and I'll create a new package, and I will say this one is grouping. Okay, so under attributes, I'm keeping a grouping related package, and in this, I will be creating two test cases. One is, let's say that group one, and then let me just add some more test cases. So let me just add all these test cases to there, and then here let me just write something. Maybe let's keep as it is. Let's remove the description so we can see the grouping. Okay, so here let me remove this one as well. And now, so for grouping, I can say like this group, and under this, I can specify the different groups. So it's groups actually. So equal to, and you can keep multiple group names inside this. For an instance, see, this is related to login functionality, right? This particular test case. So I'll make it as login. And I can have one or multiple. So if you have only one, you can just leave as it is. Let's say that there is another group you want to add this one inside this. Let me add multiple groups. So this is related to report functionality, right? So I can report, and let's say that I want to include this one as my regression shoot as well. So I can specify like this. The same thing, let's say that this is login, and I can put it as a sanity. Okay, there is another one. Let's say that here I'll put some groups equal to, and I will keep it as, let's say that functional. Okay, some name I'm giving here. So like this, you can specify different groups here. Okay, so as you can see, it is just giving one simple warning actually, which is saying that add this login as a defined test group. So what you can do, just click on this one. So, and then the same thing, sanity. So these are all test groups, so that these keywords will be stored into your project. Okay, so IntelliJ does the storing of all these things into that. You can just mention like this, and that's it. Okay, so it's like if you have come to know about your Python, you have to specify all these things into a configuration file. So you have to specify how many different group strings you have into a file, so that when you mention those strings here, the testng or the IntelliJ will not give you any error. But here it's IntelliJ is giving you that option where you can just mouse over on that warning, and then you can add to the group actually, so that you will not get again any other errors. Okay, so like this we can do that. Now the question comes, how do we run these test cases? So if you run like this, right click on this one, it will just all these test cases. Okay, because we are not filtering out. Either if you do like this, it will just run this particular test case only, and if you are running on the class wise, it will run all the test cases. You can see it didn't bother about what group you have put that. But yes, so let me do one thing just to make it more clarity. I'll keep another test case so that you will see multiple classes as well we can define and then add into the grouping. Okay, so here let me do one thing. Everything I'll keep it as one, one, and here I'll keep it as one, and here let me just keep as it is, no problem with that. Okay, so here just I will change only one thing. Let's say that this is API related test cases, and then I will just keep it into the defined test group. That's it. Okay, any new entries you're making, you have to do that. Fair enough. Okay, now let's do one thing. So to run this grouping wise test cases, you have to use the testNG.xml. Okay, so for this, what I will do, so we have this already, this testNG.xml, right? So I'll just right click this one, copy, and then I will paste it into this project folder, and I will rename it because it's not mandatory to have testng only. So I'll say grouping. Okay, and inside this I will be writing here another one, that is your attributes. So testng learning dot attributes. Okay, it's not coming. Okay, let's do one thing. Yep, so here you can see after before. Okay, it's not after before actually. From here it's attributes dot grouping dot group one. So you have to give the exact, okay, it's the grouping, right? So grouping is my what you call package dot, I will say, and you can see group one, and I don't need two test. I'll just keep it in one, double quote, and then just mention this one. I can short this one, and then the same thing, let me add the next set of test case, that is group 2. But I don't want to run like the entire what you call set of test cases, right? Both of these classes, which is consisting 6 test cases. What I can do here, I'll try to create a new element tag actually. So that is called as groups. So inside this test, I will say groups. So here I'll keep it as groups, and then here let's keep like this and end it. Okay, so inside this I will use another, that is run element, and inside this I will specify what groups I want to run it. So I will say, you can see it's highlighting include or exclude. So I will say that sanity related test cases I want to run it. That's it. Okay, now the same thing, let's say that I want to include maybe some other naming. Let's say login, there is one more set is there, right? So I'll say like this, and you can make it as a short format as well. Okay, now let me run this and see how it is running. And here you can see, so this is login related test case, and you can see sanity and login. So if I go to the group one, you can see login and sanity, so these two are related to this g login, right? So that's how it printed. And then let's see into this, and here also it is the same thing only. But let's say I want to make it as API. So what I can do here, let's comment all these things, or maybe I'll just comment this one thing only here, and I will say API. So it will just run only one test case, because we have only one test case related to this API. You can see the report one, which is from group 2 class, and here you can see this is API. Okay, so now let's see something interesting that is called as exclude. So now here, let's say that I want to run all test cases, but I don't want to run the API related test cases. Okay, I want to run all the UI related test cases at this moment. So I'll just say API, and then I'll just like this, and let's see what happens. So it should run 5 test cases a total. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you can see the API related is the A report 1, and that didn't run here because we were excluding this API related test cases. So that is how you can include and exclude and play with your groups, and then you can run. So here one good thing is that you can specify all the test cases here as usual. Normally you specify, let's say if you have 200 test cases are there, for sure you would have written all the test cases as you keep adding into here, right? Now you don't want to do any comment or uncomment into this, right? You can just keep changing these groups only, which is very minimal. You might be having some 10 to 15 total of what do you call groups will be there, right? So it's easy to include, exclude, or whatever, you can play with that. Okay, now there is another feature actually that the TestNG groups is providing. One is actually you can even use the your regular expressions as well. So let me just show you that. So let's say that I want to make this one as func. So I'll just make it as func. Okay, and this is here functional is there, right? So let me just make it as like this and then save it. And here I'll do one thing. So I want to run these two test cases, this one and also this one actually. Now you can see there is common actually func, and here also func is there, right? So what I can do here, instead of functional I will say dot star. So anything that is matching with func, you just execute those related test cases. Now you can see there are two test cases. Before it was just one, right? That is only related to the A underscore report. But now the G underscore login is also executing. So that is how you can even execute this functional or by using the regular expressions. One of the use cases is that for an instance, let's say that you are saying that this is sanity dot login. Let's say that you are keeping like this, okay? And you will say that regression dot report, you can say like this. Now what will happen here, and so here you can remove this one actually, this one. Now let's say I want to run all the regression related test cases, and here let's make it as regression. Okay, I can keep like this. Now let's say I want to run all the regression related test cases. Now you can see, let's even remove this one. Okay, so when I want to run the regression related test cases, I want to include these two test cases. Okay, and so in this case, so I don't want to write like this, right? One is regression, then regression dot report. I want to include everything. What I can do here directly, so instead of this, I'll just say regression dot star. So let me just right click this and run. You will see two test cases will be running. Here you can see 1, 2, 3. I think from the 2 also there was a regression matching. You can see here also. So like this you can do use the regular expression here and you can run your test cases. Now this is all about running your grouping related test cases by using the testNG.xml, right? Even you can execute these test cases or these groups by using your Maven command line as well. Let me show you that. So for this actually let's go to the pom.xml and we need to have one plugin actually. So far we have not seen to install any plugins, right? So that is basically coming under your build. So inside build you will be specifying some plugins. It's like dependencies. You have dependencies and dependency, right? The same thing you can have plugins, and in this plugin you have to install one new plugin that is called as Maven Surefire plugin. So let me just show you that how to get that plugin. So for this what I'm going to do, let me show you this link, so which is related to your Maven Surefire plugin, and then if you are using TestNG you can use this plugin. So let me just copy this one, and then under this plugins section I will be using at this moment, let's just comment all these things. So this is basically linking your Maven project with your TestNG. Okay, because our project is mostly related to the Maven project and then TestNG library we are using, right? So let me do one thing. Let me install this plugin by using the install lifecycle. Okay, and I will just right click, go to the Maven, and then reload this project. Okay, now, if everything is set, let me close everything. Let me go to the command line actually. So open in terminal, and here let's give this as mv and test, and I will give a parameter that is called as groups, and then I will say equal to regression. Okay, let's execute this. But before executing this, let me show you one more thing. So what this testng, this particular command does, this particular maven test basically looks for all the class files those are having a word as a test. It means that, so here you can see these are all mentioned as after before, right? Like here it is base test, and here if you see it's group 1. It means that here no test keyword is there. Like here we have test is there, right? So normally what testng does when you run it from command line, it will look for all the Java files or all the class files which either started with a test or ended with a test string or test case. I will show you that into the documentation. So if you see here, you can see it says that by default, let me just expand this one a bit. So if you see here, it says that by default, Surefire plugin will automatically include all the test cases whose file name is either starts with Java or it ends with a test or test or test case, anything. Either it starts or ends with that. Else it will not pick up the test cases. But in this case, if you see, we don't have any test here except this priority test, right? So how do we deal with that? Do we really need to change this name into test? Yes, you can do. You can make it as test group 1 or group 1 test or group 1 test case, any one of the name you can do, but there is an alternate solution to this is there. Let's see the documentation, which is says, let's say that there is a sample.java file is there and you don't want to make it as a test keyword. Now how do you do that? No worries. What it's saying is that under this configuration which we commented out when we install this one, you just use this include command here, or the include element. So let me just use that here. So what I can do, so here I copy pasted this one, but instead of that I'm using star dot star. It means that it will include everything under my project. So whatever, irrespective of the class name with the test is ended or beginned, I don't care about that. But if any method is noted as a test, you include that into the Maven test. So now it is included in this. Now if I run this particular test case or this group, it will work nicely. It will not depend on whether the test case, I mean the naming convention will not be dependent at this moment. So let's see, let's do one thing quickly. Let me just install this one because I've changed a bit into that. And after doing that, what I can do quickly, let me go to this project and Maven and reload this project. Okay. And if everything done, no errors, let's go to the terminal and execute this command. Maven test hyphen d groups. You can have one, what do you call, one group, or you can even have multiple groups. For an instance, let's say that I want to run regression and functional related test cases. Let's execute this, and here you can see it's running something, and there are three test cases it got found. If you would not have added that form.xml, this one, it should have been shown here as 0 because it was not finding the right match for the test case. Now if you come here, let's first see whether I'm getting three test cases properly or not. One is regression, which is g underscore login. You can see here it is coming. And now functional, which is a underscore report, right? Now there is another matching is under this group 2 class, and which is this one. You can see d underscore report one, which printed here. So that's how you can do that. Okay. So this is basically to include certain, what do you call, your groups, right? But what about if you want to exclude something? Like we did the same thing in our xml, right? Include, you can just mention one or two include elements. But if I want to exclude, here I used to give this as category or the element as exclude, right? The same thing what I can do here, I can just, instead of groups, I will say exclude groups, exclude, and g should be capital. That's it. And now let's run this. It will not now run 3, but it should be running more than 3. Let's see that. So as you can see here, there are a lot of test cases run, and one of that is Selenium related. Let it close. And yes, you can see there are 13 test cases which got matched in that, and 3 got did not executed because it's not matching that criteria. Let's see that for an instance, if I go to here, I'm not expecting d underscore report 1 because this is related to the regression, right? So let's see the output if it is coming. So as you can see, there is no d underscore report 1. Let's see that. I said regression and functional, right? Okay, so as you can see here, I have excluded regression, but this test case is even related to report, right? So that's why this got executed. Let me show you that. So if you see here, d underscore report one also got executed because of this report as a separate one. If I have one just regression, even this would have been included as well. See here, g underscore login, you can see. Let's try to find it out where I have only one is there. Let's say functional, so I want to just exclude the functional, not the regression. So here in this case, exclude, it should be exclude, right? Okay, so here I'll just say functional and enter. So now it should now skip this a underscore report. And now as you can see here, okay, so here also it is coming. So there is something is missing here. Think that is excluded groups. Let's see that. It's excluded groups. Let's enter. And now I'm not expecting the a underscore report one, right? Now as you can see here, a underscore report is gone actually, and there was a selenium related test case, so that also now finished. And you can see now it's only 12 test cases ran because it is very specific to the functional one, so that's why it didn't execute it. So that is how you can have what you call include or exclude the scripts. So one issue that I have got is that you cannot use the regular expression. So I've tried couple of different options, and there was even one Stack Overflow link I got where even they are saying that there is some issue of mentioning the regular expression into this Maven parameters. But yes, you are free to use this particular here. So you can use here the dot star as a regular expression, but in the terminal for some reason it is not working. For an instance, if I do this, it just says that no match is found. But even there are two test cases that is related to this functional. Okay, but yeah, you have this option where you can include or exclude, and you can play with that. Okay, so that's pretty much it about the grouping, how you can group related test cases and then execute that by using testNG.xml, and also using the Maven Surefire plugin where you can execute it from the command line. So this command line is very handy if you are using this into any CI/CD pipelines, like if you are using Jenkins, it would be more helpful for you guys. Okay. So hope this session is helpful. Stay tuned. We will see some more TestNG features in our upcoming sessions. And thank you for watching.